So again, here's our question repeated, but we want to know what is behind this trend and what does the study have to say about it? So the study essentially puts through 2 or 3 explanations, which we're going to go through in detail today. The first explanation, which you'll find in the discussion section, is as follows. One explanation for the observed sex differences in childhood IQ and marital status in adulthood could be that women who spent longer in education and focused on furthering a career during early adulthood delayed getting married, with some never marrying. So essentially saying that those who were more intelligent at age 11 and scored higher in their IQ test in childhood tended to perform better at school, spend longer in the education system, and then went on to have more long and ambitious careers, which maybe meant that they didn't get married and maybe didn't have children. So again, it's saying that IQ essentially might have been a predictor for women who are more ambitious or successful in the workplace, and therefore they put marriage to one side. And this wasn't mentioned for men. However, just because the study states this, we need to know, is there any scientific evidence for this? And if so, how good or robust or valid is this evidence? Well, it's interesting to say that they don't cite any evidence for this in the study. It's simply stated as a general statement. But I think we can all agree, as I'll show you now, that it is true, and we do observe in day-to-day life, that especially as society has become more modern and more equal in terms of the position of men and women, in some societies at least, it is the case now that many women do spend just as long as men in education, and they tend to have full-time careers, and this may impact the age at which they get married, and it may mean that some women never get married. So this is pulled from a very well-cited article, which talks about Western societies in particular, so bear that in mind. The demographics of many Western societies have changed nowadays, and the majority of women are no longer full-time homemakers, so they're not stay-at-home mums. The labour market participation of women has increased in the past few decades. So essentially the workplace is more gender balanced, and there's a more equal amount of men and women in full-time careers. So in terms of that explanation, although the study doesn't cite any scientific research, there is generally good societal evidence that we can see observationally to support that claim. What's the second explanation that the study cites then? Well, they cite that, or they suggest that a different mechanism might explain the reverse trend among males. So the reverse trend being that lower IQ males at age 11 were more likely to be married. Essentially, the mechanism being, or the trend among males, which indicates that men with lower IQs are likely to be disadvantaged in competing for marriage partners. So that's saying that men with lower IQs are less likely to be appealing to women. And this was less of a case for women. So women, it didn't really matter if a woman had a higher or lower IQ in terms of whether they would attract a mate or a marriage partner. Whereas for men, this has been studied by these researchers who I've highlighted here in green, and it was found that men with lower IQs found it more difficult to attain a marriage partner or get married. The second part of this explanation is that IQ may also serve as a marker of childhood social circumstances and educational attainment, which may influence social pathways leading to marriage or non-marriage. So this is saying that your upbringing or how you are brought up as a child in terms of your social circumstances, so your social economic status, maybe your family life and the dynamics that you were brought up in, and also how well you did at school, which is your educational attainment or your achievement, can influence whether someone gets married or whether someone doesn't get married.